It took them so long, didn't it? Democrats are finally starting to realize that get woke, go broke. But I got news for all you friends out there. This is my prediction. The Democratic Party is done. They're dead. Now, I know people are like, Tim, in 2016, Donald Trump won. He got the House, he got the Senate, he got everything. And Democrats, people were saying they were done then as well. And they came back in 2018. They came back in 2020. And this is the ebb and flow. Let me explain. I do believe Democrats can come back from this in some form, but I believe for the time being, I don't know how they do it. Now, I pride myself on a thinking man, and sometimes I'm thinking dumb, and that's just reality. But I would say this. I think it's fair to assume that I make slightly better choices than bad choices. And that's exemplified by the fact that I seem to be able to build a company thus far. Not the biggest company in the world, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world. If I was smarter, I'd probably be a lot bigger and more successful. But I think I do decently well. And that is to say, if you were to ask me about Donald Trump's path to victory, I can come up with a plan that I think might work. I could be wrong, but I think it's fair. Case in point. In 2020, I said Trump needs to bring on Tulsi Gabbard. Bring in the moderates. He didn't do it. He did really well. He did even better this time. He brought in the moderates. He was willing to welcome everybody. My point here is this. Sometimes I have really bad ideas and I don't consider myself the smartest person. But if you were to ask me right now, Tim, can you come up with a political plan for Democrats to recover? I mean, heck, Tim, you were a Democrat in 2020, right? I say, I have no idea. I can't help you. You could come and offer me $1 million and I got nothing for you. Hey, look, the Republicans can come to me and say, we want to make sure that we win these battleground days. I'm going to say, fine. Just be normal, be sane. Offer up means by which you're going to lower gas prices and make butter cheap. The Democrats, I got nothing for you. You know why? Because if I come to you right now and I say, Democrats, abandon the woke insanity and focus on the working class, focus on unions, focus on getting the cost of butter down, the woke faction of the Democrats, which is a large portion, the DSA, for instance, are going to be like, no, you're a racist, you're a bigot, and it can't be done. So I tell you this, my friends, I do not see a reality for Democrats recovering from this. I mean, maybe in 8 years, I don't know. Right now, the problem is going to be they have 2 years to win the midterms, and they can maybe do it. The problem I see for Democrats is that if they abandon wokeness to try and get the moderates back, they lose 10% or more of their base. It could even be 20% at this point. The prominent voices on CNN, for instance, banging on the table screaming, they're not boys, they're trans girls. That is, for regular Americans who want cheap gas, they're like, what are you doing? Now, if Democrats try to embrace the wokeness like AOC suggests they do, then they're going to burn up the moderates. And the Republican Party is going to go from 78 million votes, which they're counting now, to 85 million votes or more. The Democratic Party is being split down the middle between the far left identity politics and corporate neolibs, neither of which are polling very strongly right now. The Democrats only have one thing. We're Democrats, they're racist. Well, Morning Joe is starting to wake up to it. Let's see what they have to say.
We want to get to the Maureen Dowd piece. We're going to do something a little different this morning because we're going to read the entire piece, but it's worth it. I think a lot of people have already been talking about this. We got a lot of calls about white women, and remarkable numbers of Democrats are finally waking up and realizing that woke is broke. Boom! And Maureen writes this. Donald Trump won a majority of white women and remarkable numbers of Black and Latino voters and young men.
He did.
Democratic insiders thought people would vote for Kamala Harris even if they didn't like her to get rid of Trump. But more people ended up voting for Trump, even though many didn't like him because they liked the Democratic Party less. I've often talked about how my dad stayed up all night on the night Harry Truman was elected because he was so excited. And my brother stayed up all night the first time Trump was elected because he was so excited. And I felt that Democrats would never recover that kind of excitement until they could figure out why they had turned off so many working class voters over the decades and why they had developed such disdain toward their once loyal base.
And there it is.
Democratic candidates have often been avatars of elitism. Michael Dukakis.
I'm not interested in hearing them rant on the rest of it, but they said it right away. Identity politics hampered the Democratic election bid. Done. You keep saying, where's the Democrat Tim Pool? I mean, they literally wrote this, where we have no Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, or so help us, a Tim Pool. And I kind of, I'm going to take the high road on this one. Or is it the low road? I'm going to say this. When they say, so help us, a Tim Pool, I'm going to go ahead and say it's because they view me as a milquetoast moderate. They can't even get one of those. Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder are staunch conservatives of strong opinion. Timcast reads the news, gives his opinions, and he's a moderate guy, kind of liberal in some regards. And they said, so help us, we can't even get him. Well, you called me a Nazi over and over again. You called me alt-right. You said, this is they take my words out of context. They insult and lie. And they say, if you are not with us, you are against us. And I said, dude, I only had a minor disagreement. They say, shut the F up and get the F out. And I said, later. When they started racially segregating, I said, I'm not doing it. I'm out. Well, let's throw it to our good friend AOC, who can't seem to recognize why they're losing.
Personally,
Here's the question. It says, now, what question do you all have for me? Question. Do you buy the argument that woke loses elections, e.g. saying Latinx? AOC says, no, woke is good. Let's keep doing it.
don't. I think that a lot of voters really don't like fake people.
True. I agree with that.
And they're sick and tired of fake politicians. And so what I actually think is worse is saying something you don't believe. And so if during the entire time in campaign season, you're saying that you're down with trans people or like the LGBT community, and then you lose an election, and then the next day you say all that stuff was wrong. I actually think what people are more upset about is someone was doing something they didn't believe and just saying something.
AOC is a duplicitous, smarmy individual. This is what she does. The question is, does woke lose elections? And she goes, no, I don't think so, because if you claim to support it, then lose an election and then say that was a bad thing, that proves you're fake. What your logic is, they already lost the election? How are people are they going back in time? Do they have time turners from Harry Potter where they spin it and they can transport back in time and they realized you were fake the whole time? Listen, AOC, you're right about one thing. People don't like fake politicians. That's why they like Joe Rogan. That's why they like my show. That's why they like Steven Crowder. Crowder is a bit more conservative, but people like him. I like watching Crowder because he's funny. And I know that he's telling me what he really thinks. Joe Rogan is more of a different political persuasion, but I tell you this. When I watch Joe Rogan, Joe tries to be honest and he gets things wrong. And it's fun and entertaining. When I watch Steven Crowder, he tries to be funny and sometimes he gets these wrong and it's fun and entertaining. Crowder he's comedy and news, right-leaning. Joe Rogan is comedy and news and left-leaning. And they both supported Donald Trump. And the reason is Kamala Harris is plastic. As plastic as they come. And regular people don't like fake. And that's what you're doing right now. How are you going to go ahead and argue that they support wokeness, lose an election, and then afterwards, when they say that was a bad thing, that proves that's why they won the election, or why they lost the election? Sorry, that makes absolutely no sense. What I think we're actually getting to here is Democrats are being ripped apart. Okay, you've got MSNBC, you've got the New York Times, and they're saying, get woke, go broke. We can't play this game. And AOC is lying to her woke base of young people, desperately trying to maintain our political ideology is A-OK with no logic. And that's it. AOC has done this a lot. She did, on January 6th in 2021, she played this game where she was like, I was in my office and I heard knocking. And then I went and hid in the bathroom and I heard, where is she? Where is she? And I was like, oh no. And she implied she thought she was going to die. The only problem, not only was she not in the Capitol building, but the story she told took place an hour or more before the Capitol was even breached. She just made things up. So let me put it this way as I round out this segment, my friends. Democrats are realizing woke is broke. Here's the problem. The young people like AOC, who's the darling of the progressive Democrat wing, ain't going to give it up. So if the Democrats come out now and say, excise this weird stuff, the far left garbage, get rid of it, the pronouns, whatever. We don't want boys and girls sports. People don't like that stuff. AOC is going to resist. The party will fracture and they will not be able to win any substantive majority. Take a look at Dearborn, Michigan, where you had the protest vote. Take a look at the split on Israel and Palestine. The Democratic Party is being ripped into two different parties, and they don't know what to do. Well, I tell you this. If Democrats try to win over moderates, it won't be enough. We don't trust them anymore. The Republican Party is the Big Tent party, and y'all got woke and went broke. So good luck in the midterms. You're going to need it. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know, become a member over at timcast.com, and we'll see you all in the next segment.